Happy Africa Day. Let us move together, united in purpose, towards a just and equitable future for all Africans and people of African descent.
Stands firmly in defense and solidarity with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso.
This time no way! A boost for a boost! Walk with Traoré! Africa must unite! Walk with Traoré! Africa must unite!
Wow, walk with Traore, Africa must unite. This is more than a slogan and a message from African youth as they are calling for unity of African continent. Also standing firmly in solidarity with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso. From Zambia, Zambia's Socialist Party under the leadership of Fred Membe has sent a solidarity message to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. And here is the message of Fred Membe from Zambia. And also, I will share the message of President of Ghana, President John Mahama. Don't skip the video. Watch this video from the beginning till the end. Here is the message from our leaders.
The Socialist Party in Zambia stands firmly in defense and solidarity with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, and with the brave and upright people of that revolutionary nation. Captain Traoré represents a new generation of African leadership, courageous and compromising and rooted in the aspirations of the people. In the face of neo-colonial domination, imperialist interference, and the security challenges that are the bitter legacy of centuries of French and general imperialist exploitation, he has chosen to walk the path of true independence, dignity, and sovereignty. What we are witnessing in Burkina Faso today is not just a political transition. It is a rebirth of revolutionary consciousness in West Africa, and in particular in the Sahel. President Traoré's bold stance against foreign domination and his commitment to reclaiming national resources for the benefit of his people are acts of immense historical significance. We condemn all attempts, covert or overt, to destabilize or undermine this progressive and patriotic leadership. Africa must be allowed to shape its own destiny, free from dictates of former colonial powers or their agents. Captain Traoré is not alone. Across the continent and the global south, there is a growing awareness arising from the tide of people and movements who refuse to be slaves in their own lands. The struggle of Burkina Faso is the struggle of all Africans who yearn for justice, equality, and control over their futures. We call on all progressive forces across Africa and the world to stand with President Traoré and the people of Burkina Faso. Let's unite in defense of sovereignty, self-determination, and a new Africa arising from the ashes of imperialism. How long shall we allow them to kill our revolutionary leaders? They toppled Nkrumah. They killed Amilcar Cabral. They killed Thomas Sankara. They killed Chris Hani. They killed Patrice Lumumba. They assassinated Muammar Gaddafi. How long should we allow them to continue killing our leaders, our revolutionary leaders? Let's ensure that Captain Traoré lives to see the revolutionary process taking place in Burkina Faso today bearing fruits. Long live Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Long live the revolution in Burkina Faso. Long live the African spirit of solidarity and long live the socialist project.
Wow, what a powerful message from Zambia's Socialist Party leader, Mr. Fred Membe, to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. This is a time for Africans to come together, to unite, because the struggle of Burkina Faso is the struggle of all Africans. So from there, let us now move to Ghana, where we are going to hear the message from President John Dramani Mahama, the President of Ghana. Here is the message from John Dramani Mahama. Welcome.
Fellow Africans, esteemed leaders, brothers and sisters of the African continent, it is with great honor that I address you today on the occasion of Africa Day 2025. As we gather in Addis Ababa and connect across our vast continent and beyond, we celebrate our resilience, our rich heritage, and our unwavering spirit. This year, our celebration is particularly significant. The African Union has declared 2025 as the year for justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. As the AU champion for this critical cause, I'm deeply committed to working with you all to achieve this vital objective. For too long, the legacy of slavery, colonialism, and neo-colonialism has cast a long shadow on the lives and progress of Africans and people of African descent. These historical injustices have left deep scars. Reparations are not merely about financial compensation, they are about acknowledging the profound and enduring damage inflicted upon our people. They are about confronting the uncomfortable truths of our past and taking concrete steps to rectify these wrongs. We seek justice that encompasses a comprehensive range of measures, including official and unequivocal apologies from the nations and institutions responsible for perpetrating these historical injustices, addressing the crippling debt burden that continues to stifle economic growth in many African nations, a direct consequence of exploitation and unfair trade practices, providing resources and expertise to empower African nations to achieve sustainable development and participate fully in the global economy, returning stolen artifacts and cultural treasures that rightfully belong to our heritage, investing in the educational initiatives to promote a deeper understanding of African history, culture, and contributions to the world. This is not a simple task. It requires courage, determination, and a unified front. It requires us to engage in meaningful dialogue with those responsible and to advocate tirelessly for our rights. I call upon my colleague African leaders, civil society organizations and youth groups, and members of the diaspora to join hands in this important endeavor. Let us work together to build a future where justice prevails, where the wounds of the past are healed, and where the potential of every African and person of African descent is fully realized. Let Africa Day 2025 be a turning point. Let us reaffirm our commitment to building a continent of prosperity, opportunity, and equality for all our people. Let the pursuit of reparations be a testament to our resilience, our determination, and our unwavering belief in a brighter future. Happy Africa Day. Let us move together, united in purpose, towards a just and equitable future for all Africans and people of African descent.
Yes, let's move together, let's unite. That's the message of President of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama. Ghana, don't skip the video, my dear lovely family. This is a struggle, this is a movement. My dear lovely, have another fantastic message from Joshua Maponga. Let us now move together and listen and watch this message from Joshua Maponga. This is one of also the fantastic message.
The boundaries that were drawn by the Berlin Conference as legitimate. And if those boundaries are legitimate, then Berlin Conference was legitimate. The backside of that. But if Berlin Conference was illegitimate, then every present government, every present president is illegitimate because they are presiding over illegitimate boundaries. So how can you say I'm a president of South Africa, but South Africa is a construct of Berlin Conference? How can you say I'm a president of Mozambique, but Mozambique is a construct of Berlin Conference. So by legitimizing countries, we're actually legitimizing Berlin Conference. Hence, I always talk about African unity, that our country is Africa. And all other countries are provinces.
True.
Because we cannot sit around and look at 15 men sitting in Berlin Conference who do an agreement, which 54 men right now cannot undo. 10 white people take a ruler and draw.
Well, I want this,
I want
take this.
Take our 54 presidents right now, sit them in one room and say, can you undo what the white men did? They will quarrel on their way to the meeting. They will not even attend. Why? Because they enjoy the kingly roles of illegitimate power. That's why we're being abused. Because our presidents came into power to run land belonging to the kings.
Wow, what a bold, fantastic message from Joshua Maponga. My dear lovely family, friends, don't be tired. We are in the movement. We are in revolution. Make sure that you share the message to all kings and queens here in the continent and to those who are in the diaspora to get this message. The message of hope, the message toward a total economic liberation. My dear lovely family, before moving to the next message, let us pause here a little bit and discuss what Maponga has said. As you heard from Joshua Maponga, he's proposing that we need one country called Africa. The rest will be provinces, or we can call them states. So these countries are illegitimate because they obtained from Berlin Conference, and we know that during Berlin Conference there's no any representative of African countries or African continent. So it's Europeans who sat down, took ruler and paper, then draw their map according to what they want. Then they take those pieces of land and they call countries, whatever they call them, but for the aim of exportation. So Maponga is calling for Africans, especially 54 African heads of state, to come together, to sit down and undo what the 15 European leaders or European people did during the Berlin Conference and collapse all these borders. We know, my dear lovely family, how the borders are undermining our development, transition of technologies, exchange of ideas because of these borders. And these borders went too far and create chaoses and conflict among Africans. So we need to abolish these borders. We want only one country called Africa. The rest will be provinces. That is according to what Maponga has said. But even myself, I support Maponga that we don't need these small countries, Rwanda, Burundi, whether Djibouti, these small countries, Eswatini. How can Eswatini compete with China? We want one country called Africa, a united Africa. Maybe we can find another good name, but one country called Africa that will combine the rest of these small provinces or these states. Now let us shift and move to the next message from our Pan-Africanist diaspora who came to Ghana to celebrate African Day. They came with a slogan, "Walk with Traore, Africa must unite." Let us go and listen what they are saying to us as Africans. Welcome.
We have to be proud of the fact that African Liberation Day started here in Accra, Ghana, April 15, 1958. It was Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah who organized all of the independent states at the Conference of Independent African States on that day. And on that day, they proclaimed African Freedom Day. And African Freedom Day is supposed to be mark the onward progress of African people for their movement for independence and to determine the exact movement for their liberation against foreign domination and exploitation. So you have to see ourselves as a part of that process. In 1963, it was changed to African Liberation Day by the OAU. And then in 2002, it was changed to African Union Day. So we don't accept African Union Day. Yes. because Africa is not liberated. We still in this fight to struggle to liberate our entire African continent. And it's going to take us, right here, you, to be able to go out among the masses of our people, to eat with them, to walk with them, to study with them, to be able to fight with them in order to push this next generation over the top, in order for we Africans to be free no matter where we are at here in Africa. And the change is coming.
Africa must be free.
Hands off Africa.
Africa must be free.
The change is coming.
Now.
It's coming right now. Right now. Just like we said, like Nkrumah said, we want independence now. Not tomorrow.
Yes, those are our brothers and sisters from the diaspora who came to Ghana to show solidarity to African leaders, especially Captain Ibrahim Traoré. As you see, they are raising banners with the picture and words to support or to stand with Captain Ibrahim Traoré. But all in all, they are saying that the struggle still continue, a luta continua. We cannot celebrate Africa Day because we are still not free economically. So that is their message. So let us now move to another message, the message from the former South African president, Mr. Thabo Mbeki. Also, he shared his views on the issue of Africa unity, on the issue of unity of African continent. Welcome and listen what Thabo Mbeki has said about African continent. Welcome.
Issues of youth development, youth empowerment, and so on, culture, education, science and technology, peace and security, all of these things. If I asked, if we had time, I asked the universities here, the students of the University of Dar es Salaam, and say, do they know what AU, not AU, African Continental Policy on Youth Development is? Can you please raise your hands? None. Yet there is. And I think we would find that with regard to many of these policies, which I say exist, and when Dar es Salaam University appoints me lecturer, I will give you the documents. This is part of our challenge. The policy positions exist on the continent, approved by our political leaders, many of them ratified by our parliaments. So there's a policy framework which exists for the renaissance of Africa. One of our comrades just said that the answer is socialism. It's not, that one I know is not in the AU policies. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I know it's not in the policies. There is no shortage of a general, overall, comprehensive policy framework to define the kind of new Africa we want, the Africa reborn. There's a problem. The problem is that the Africans don't know of that. How do we solve it? I don't have an answer to that question. But it's a critical matter that we need to solve. If we say the future of our continent, as Dr. Androsi was saying, this issue of self-reliance, the future of our continent is defined by ourselves. He said it's not going to be defined by the Chinese or the Indians or the Americans or the Russians, but ourselves, correct. But I'm saying here is African institutions which say, with regard to that question, this is what our future should be politically, economically, peace and security, this and that and the other. And yet as Africans, we don't know that.
Yes, welcome back, dear lovely family. That is Mr. Thabo Mbeki, the former president of South Africa. He said very well that we have no shortage of good policies, but the problem that we have, we don't know these policies. And sometimes our leaders are not implementing these policies, whether it is policies or plans or agreements. Our leaders are not implementing. You remember the president of Rwanda, President Paul Kagame, spoken like that the challenge of our leaders right now is that they're not implementing what they have agreed. So you can see that we know the challenges, we have policies, we know that we need to unite, but what have we done to make sure that we are going to unite? That's the question that as Africans we need to ask it. My dear lovely family, let us now dive deep into this matter, the matter of unity. Why we are insisting unity, why we want a united Africa. We want a united Africa because we want to restore our respect and our dignity. We want to restore our dignity and to be respected by the world. We cannot be respected if we continue into this division. As you know, the Europeans are coming together. We want an Africa that can speak with one voice. So that is what we are fighting for. We want to liberate this continent and to make sure that we Africans, we can be a giant, we can be a superpower in all sectors, whether in military, whether in governance, whether in economy, we can. But the problem that I said is that we are not ready to unite. So we young people, we the current generation, we have to push the agenda of united Africa. As Mr. Mbeki said, we have good policies, we have agendas, but we are not implementing. And some of us, we don't know our agendas. Right now, if you go to the street and ask any African, what do you know about Agenda 2063? You find many of us, we don't know what is inside of the Agenda 2063. If you go on the streets and asking Africans, how are you going to implement Africa Continental Free Trade Area? We don't know. But you find our leaders on front of podiums speaking Agenda 2063, speaking about Africa Continental Free Trade Area, but how are we going to achieve? So this is our duty as Africans to make sure that we push our leaders toward a united Africa, where all of us, we can speak with one voice. If we want to trade, we have to speak about trade. If we want to bring peace, we have to speak about peace. But right now, in this division that we have, others are talking about bringing peace, others are supporting terrorists, others are supporting jihadists, others are busy to betray each other. So this is the time for we Africans to say enough is enough. We have been waiting for more than 62 years since independence. So we need a united Africa. We need a borderless continent. As Maponga said, we need one country called Africa. Borderless continent is very important. Why? Because we know that through our borderless continent, it will be easy for entrepreneurs from one place to another to move without being charged for visas, without being asked. Look, right now, terrorists are moving from one place to another. No one asking them for visas. No one asking them for papers, for permission, but they are moving. We saw those who tried to destabilize Burkina Faso, they flew to Cote d'Ivoire. No one asking them in Cote d'Ivoire to pay maybe for visas. So I think this is the time for Africans to understand that borderless continent is important for the people to do businesses. We need to remove these visas, borders, and all these obstacles and restrictions that are hindering African people to do business among themselves. As you know, we are doing business with much more than with Europeans than we do ourselves. So you can see, we Africans, we are looking on the west or east. We are not adding value to our natural resources. There's those who said we don't have capacity, we don't have skills, but I'm not sure, and I will not say that we don't have skills. Skills we have, knowledge we have, but these knowledge and skills are being scattered. But if we can become united, we can mobilize this or these skills, energies, and also we can mobilize our talents together. Then we can start doing things. We want to add value to our natural resources. We want to industrialize this continent. We want to feed ourselves. So, my dear lovely family, we have a great duty to do. Up to that, let us not speak for too long. The aim is to share these messages from our leaders as we celebrate Africa Day. We are celebrating Africa Day with the slogan of Work with Traore, Africa must unite. A luta continua. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.